And right now we want to welcome to Movie Talk. Special guest this week is filmmaker Bob Clark, who, of course, has made many films in his career, including Christmas Story and the Porky's franchise and Baby Geniuses. But years and years ago, back in the 70s, Mr. Clark made what is now considered a cult classic horror film, and in fact a groundbreaking horror film that is now out on DVD called Black Christmas, and the remake opens Christmas Day, conveniently enough, in a couple of days. So right now, let's welcome Bob Clark to Movie Talk. Bob, thanks so much for joining me.
Pleasure, David.
Let's take you back to that time era. The Exorcist opens in 1973. It's a groundbreaking horror film. Next year, Tobe Hooper makes Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And in the same year, you release Black Christmas up in Canada. This is a movie that took a lot of people by surprise. It was a big hit up there. But what was really groundbreaking about the movie, and having watched it again recently on DVD, years before Halloween, years before When a Stranger Calls, years before all these Killer in the House movies or Killer on the Run, Killer with a Camera, as I call them, you sort of originated the idea. Let's talk a little bit about the genesis of Black Christmas.
Yeah, it was, I started out my film career with a film called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which I did for $40,000 with family money, and it got bought by a Canadian company, and then they said, what do you want to do next? And then I did a movie called Death Dream with Alan Ormsby, which was an anti-Vietnam War horror movie, and I moved to Toronto to do the post-production, and Black Christmas fell into place, came into my scope, original script by Roy Moore, and I was very intrigued with a lot of things we could do with it, and set about to do perhaps the first movie where a killer is unseen and a presence is more frightening than perhaps the horror genre. And I also wanted to do one other thing, which is to get away from the beach blanket bingo, as I've always called it, treatment of college and high school kids. They've always previously, with a few exceptions, been treated rather similarly. I wanted them to be treated like they really were. And all those led to the thought that went into Black Christmas.
Were you influenced by any particular filmmaker? Or did you just sit down with the writer and say, okay, whose idea was it to come up with the idea of the unseen killer and using the camera? Was that also in conjunction with your cinematographer?
Yeah, basically Reg Morris and I and Burt Dunk set about to create a camera system where literally the camera could be the killer, and that had never been done. We didn't have Steadicam yet. We were a few years away from that. So Burt and they invented this camera system, which was quite remarkable. And you see the hands. It is the point of view of the killer, and in all the cases, he is the camera. And it was a concept that we came up with.
And the storyline is that there is a killer in this terrorizing this sorority house of girls, and included among them Olivia Hussey, who a few years before had been in the Zeffirelli version of Romeo and Juliet, and Margot Kidder, one of her early roles. I think she had maybe done Sisters with Brian De Palma previously to that. But also Andrea Martin from SCTV. I mean, you were able to find these actresses. And Keira DuLay is also in the film, and John Saxon. Talk a little bit about the casting process, because I thought you did a great job with that, and also the performances.
I was amazingly lucky. I was to have these people come into my film. I mean, they liked the script, and I was able to persuade them we would be doing a reasonably intelligent, not a gory film. There is no gore in Black Christmas at all, although it's considered the father of the slasher mode. There is no slashing. That's not my style. But, yeah, I was flabbergasted. Like I say, a few years from Romeo and Juliet, and Keira had done, 2001 and so forth and so on. And we all set about to create a real world of a college. I think there's very little that's not authentic to the nature of how a sorority house works, especially the kind of broad, vulgar nature of the. I was always surprised at how frank the language of the obscene phone calls, and the girls themselves were real. The way, even in '74, they talked, and we never got any grief about that at all. It was because it's pretty, it stands up today. It's pretty graphic, but that was the real world, and that was the world that they lived in, and we wanted most of all to recreate that. And I think.
So bringing a sense of realism to the proceedings, adding to the horror of it all, really.
Yes.
The believability.
Exactly. That's also the reason I added the comedy, not to be a comedy, but in a girls' sorority house the night before they're going on Christmas vacation, when they're partying, people are going to be funny. They are. Mrs. Mack, I think, was a wonderful creation, and Margot Kidder has some very clever and rather outrageous things to say in terms of that. But the humor was there for reality, not for comic relief or any such thing as that.
Bob, is this a case early in your career of choosing the horror genre, or did it choose you?
Well, I started out as a classical stage trained director and actor, basically. And then I lived in Miami, and I was part of the Miami K. Gordon Murray film industry, so I got a sort of an education there, and I soon began to understand I would be a film director, so I started out to train myself. So either, if I was going to break into the film business, it was either make porno films or horror films. So there was no other real choice in terms of those days, so I didn't want to do porno films. So starring them maybe, but no. But yes, that was the reason. I didn't set out to be a horror director. I respected the genre, but I used that as a means to break in, and that worked very effectively for me.
Did you have any problems with the film up in Canada? Was there any kind of censoring board, or was it they did give you a lot of freedom up there?
Total. I said we never had any grief. I don't even remember criticism of the very vulgar nature of some of it, which because it was real, it was authentic, it was artistically justified, and we were just beginning to break into that where you could use that kind of language, and it only just in the last few years before we did the movie had that occurred.
Right, MASH, I think, the Altman film, ushered that in.
Yeah, yes, it certainly had some of that, and a few others, but very just within years of Black Christmas.
So now the film is out on DVD, and it's been given a first-class treatment by Anchor Bay, I believe. And this is a film that, years later you look at it. Do you look at it now with enormous affection, or do you say, gosh, I wish it could have done that better? I think it stands up pretty well, though.
Yeah, I was at a screening. Grindhouse did a screening here in L.A. at the New Beverly, and it was the biggest screening they've ever had. It's a specialty house screening, of classics, and it was on Tuesday, and Olivia was there, and John Saxon, and it was their biggest screening ever for any horror film that they had done, and I watched it with some almost deep surprise at how current it is. The movie stands up. You could believe it was made. Even the clothing and the girls' hairdos, things just are pretty much. There's so much variety in hair and all of that today, but considering they were at a Christmas, going away party, and they're slightly overdressed, the look would certainly be matched today. And in terms of even the automobiles, I was very careful not to use many. I don't know why, and the few we saw didn't have a period feeling. So
that's great. So the movie doesn't feel dated at all.
No, it really doesn't. It's quite amazing. It was consciously trying to be neutral, but that it would turn out, that clothing and everything would evolve this way in the sorority world, and their language and the way they related to one another adds to that also. But the audience was wonderfully responsive. Everybody stayed for the question and answer. It was very, very flattering.
There's been a lot of horror movies that have been remade over the past few years, some of them unnecessarily so. Why did you allow this film to be remade with Glenn Morgan and James Wong, formerly of The X-Files, years of television experience, and also the Final Destination movies that they've done? What about them persuaded you to let them remake your movie?
I had I'd always said I would not have any of my movies remade. I just didn't want to go, and I had held up. I had a lot of people come to me for Black Christmas, a few for Murder by Decree. Although I don't know how anybody would be foolish enough to try to remake that movie, considering that cast. You're aware of the movie?
Yes, James Mason and Christopher Plummer.
James Mason, Donald Sutherland, Sir John Gielgud, Frank Finley.
Yeah, that was a wonderful movie about Jack the Ripper, I remember.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to do a cast like that. But anyway, until James and Glenn came to me, and I was very, very impressed with these lads. They're very, very bright young filmmakers. The Final Destinations were very intelligent. And I decided, well, why not? This is particularly a story that has the possibility to be mined a bit, so the remake can be not only a remake, but explore things that we only had subliminally in the terror world. So I did it, and I'm still very, very pleased with these guys there. Now, subsequently, Eli Roth bought the rights to Death Dream. That'll be very intriguing to see what.
Yeah, Eli Roth, of course, of Hostel.
Yeah, he's
sure.
He's a wonderful filmmaker. A little grim and grisly for my taste, to be frank, but I admire him greatly, and it'll be intriguing. And I'm going to remake Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Oh, okay.
Finally thought, why not? Let's see what we can do with the 40. It's going to be like Monty Python meets Night of the Living Dead. Outrageous comedy, but still very much a horror film, and update it and make it with $12 million instead of $40,000. So.
Yeah, that should allow you a few more shooting days.
Porky being remade by Howard Stern.
Is it really?
Yes, indeed. Howard bought it about a year and a half ago, and I just read in Variety last week that they finally have come with a script. I have a lot of admiration for Howard. He's a very distinct guy. The one movie he made was a very intriguing movie.
Terrific movie, yeah. Paul Giamatti, and that was his big break, sure.
Exactly. So 4 of my movies now are in the process of being remade.
Well, it's funny because I want to get into a little bit more of this on the original Black Christmas. I was remarking last week on the show how John Carpenter's movies are all getting remade now, but John Carpenter is someone you're familiar with. He made, of course, the original Halloween, which opens with a point-of-view shot similar to what Black Christmas opens with. And talk about your relationship with John Carpenter, because I know that there's a connection with Halloween there.
Yeah, John, I must have told this story 100 times. About 2 years after Black Christmas, John admired it, and he got his first movie. The script was going to be produced by Warner Brothers, and he got them to hire me to do this movie, which was shot in Tennessee, going to be shot, and we got into pre-production. And the movie didn't happen for one reason or another. But John asked me, he said, "Are you going to make a sequel to Black Christmas?" I said, "No, John, I'm getting away from horror for the time being. Anyway, your movie will be the last one that I will do." I didn't start for that. He said, "Well, okay, but let's suppose you were going to make the sequel. What was it going to be?" And I told him it would be the following fall. The killer would have been caught in the original. After all, he escapes and he comes back to the town. No one knows he's around, and starts to terrorize them again. I'm going to call it Halloween. But when John got Halloween offered to him by the Yablans brothers, the script came with the title Halloween already on it. John didn't put it on, and he wrote a screenplay. He reworked the screenplay. He cast the movie, directed the movie, he edited the movie, he did a lot of the music, and I think it owes some obligations to, he did let admire Black Christmas, but it's his movie.
Right. That's an amazing coincidence, though.
Yeah, he was, but it's absolutely the truth. I met with his composer, who also was sort of my partner, and he confirmed the story. I'd heard it before, that Halloween came to him as Halloween, and it did.
Right, from Irwin Yablans, yeah, I remember.
Yep, indeed. So,
but I will tell you, Bob, I will tell you that another movie that is more of a blatant ripoff of Black Christmas, in my opinion, is When a Stranger Calls.
Oh, yeah, I won't hesitate. I don't want to condemn him, but it's just a direct lift. They even took the quotes, basically, the calls coming from in the house.
I mean, how do you get away from that one? How do you deny that one? That's in the trailer.
Yeah, that one's pretty, and they were very successful, much more in the States than we were.
You can continuing our conversation with director Bob Clark, whose original film of Black Christmas is now out on DVD, and I actually highly recommend that because it's a very scary, effective horror film with a terrific cast, including Margot Kidder, Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, John Saxon, and a groundbreaking horror film. We've been talking about that this past
And best
segment.
of all, born in New Orleans.
That's right. Hey, Bob, do you remember what part of New Orleans you were born in?
Well, you caught me by surprise. Right downtown, near where Tulane is.
Okay.
Forgot the famous section of the city.
Garden District?
Yes, the Garden District.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, Bob, let's talk a little bit about Christmas Story, which is a perennial favorite that airs on television and is now considered a classic film. And I remember going to see this movie in 1983. I was living in Los Angeles. I was going to UCLA Film School, and I remember walking up to the Crest Theater on Westwood Boulevard.
Right, I was there myself.
And seeing this movie, and wasn't a whole lot of people in the audience when I saw it. There wasn't a lot of fanfare or pre-publicity about the movie. A friend of mine had told me about it. I said, wait a minute, this is a Christmas movie about a kid who wants a rifle? And I went to see it not knowing a thing about it, and I have to tell you, I thought it was one of the most charming, delightful, funniest films I'd seen in a long time. And when I came out of the theater, I couldn't wait to call somebody up and say, you got to go see this movie. And I don't know why it was one of those films that I guess on its initial release, did the word of mouth pick up on the film as it played out?
Actually, the movie did better than people generally realize. It opened the week before Thanksgiving. It took me almost a year after I made it to get them to release it, so finally, very late, almost in August, they decided, Frankie Blonde, as a matter of fact, had taken over the studio. And I went to him, and he said, all right, kid, we'll give it a try. We'll give it a little opening. So we opened the week before Thanksgiving. It did about $2 million in 700 theaters, which back then was not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
The second week, in Thanksgiving week, it doubled its business. That had never been done in the same amount of theaters, even going into a holiday. Then it had, we were all thinking, wow, we got something big here. Next 2 or 3 weeks are, as you know, the weeks right now, or the weeks before Christmas, are the worst weeks for movies in the whole year. But it still held up fairly well, but I got a call. I called Frank and said, well, so we got something strong going here. I said, Bob, I don't hate to be the one to tell you, but actually we aren't going to be playing. We didn't play it. Christmas Story didn't play. They didn't book it soon enough to get to Christmas theater, so we didn't play during the 3 weeks of Christmas.
How ironic, huh?
Yeah, it still did about $18 million worth of business in those 4 weeks, which was very strong, but it dropped out. So it almost recouped at that point, but it wasn't what it was to become. But it was a pretty decent opening for a movie that didn't have a lot of got nicely reviewed, but it didn't have a big campaign. But it's later when DVD, about 2 or 3 years later, it started to
with video, you mean, yeah.
It started, when video, and also it made a tremendous amount of impact, and actually cable and network. It made a great deal of money before the videos came out, and then of course then DVDs came, and then essentially when it was taken over in the 24 hours, that's what really it actually had tremendous impact by then. But I was at the Crest Theater. That's where I saw it. Intriguing. But it's a movie that just kept growing and growing and growing. And had it played those 3 weeks of Christmas, it would have been a substantial hit. It was.
Oh, no question. Yeah, no question about it. And it's a movie that is just. Did you know when you were making it that it was going to be special? I did. Yes. By the time I got my cast, when I finally put all those kids together, I knew they really were going to catch the veracity, the truth, the way they really were. Even that movie has a certain kind of strong tone, with the kids. They've got mouths on them. And it's ironic. It's full of edginess, and it's got sweetness and warmth, but no sentimentality. It catches the real world. I think I don't know how many tens of thousands of people have literally said to me, that was my old man. That was Christmas. I remember it. So the lack of corniness and then the edge to it is, I think, what Gene Shepard is marvelous and always has been. So
I did feel that we had something. When I got Darren McGavin, who I wanted from the first, and I had to go through a long ritual of bigger stars, before I could get to them to accept Darren, and they didn't care. The studio only made the movie because they wanted me to. I've been trying for 12 years, and they finally said, "Let the idiot make it, so he'll make some movies. He'll make money." So they gave me $4 million and threw me out of the office and said, "Go do it." So that's the only reason it got made was because of the huge success of Porky.
I was going to say, you must have used your cachet from Porky's to say, hey, look, I want to make this movie, and this is a pet project of yours. And I have to say, a lot of times some of the director's pet projects turn out to be miserable failures, but in this case, this has just been a huge success and a terrific movie.
It's unreal how big it is now. It's getting to be staggering. I think it's you've heard about the man who bought the houses in Cleveland. And
Yes.
Turned into in weeks, it's turned into something extraordinary. Everywhere it turns, it seems to just has such impact with people. I'm not saying that because I made the movie, but that's the real world. It has become, without, I think, according to Variety and a number of issues, I love It's a Wonderful Life. It's my favorite one of my favorite all-time movie. But I don't think It's a Wonderful Life really is a Christmas movie. It only lasts 15 minutes. It's about Christmas.
Right.
It's about the world, so because I would shrink to say that it's not to compare them, but I think Christmas Story has become the definitive Christmas, certainly in terms of volume and who it reaches. So it just has an impact that I'm staggered by all the time, and he's become an incredible mining, money manufacturing process too. So.
Well, also, I'm sure you're thrilled. Young Peter Billingsley, who plays Ralphie, has become a movie producer working with Vince Vaughn.
He has very much done that. He's doing the new, what's it called, Iron Man with Robert, where's my brain? One of our great actors, and big $100 million science fiction film, and he's a great kid, and there are many honorary screenings of the movie every year, so we see each other a lot. All of them. The three of the boys, Zach Ward, Scott Schwartz, were at the Black Christmas screening the other day. So it's a joyful thing, and everything about it. It was from the beginning. It seemed to be blessed. Maybe it had a struggle to find its way into the world of fame, but it seemed destined. Nothing seemed to be able to stop it.
I saw an interview, and this is just touching on, I guess, a different subject, Bob, but I saw an interview with Clint Eastwood on Charlie Rose, and he asked him about directors once they get into their, in their 50s or 60s, and they stop directing, Eastwood being an exception, and you're being an exception. What is it about Hollywood? Have you run across some prejudice towards older writers or directors from gaining gainful employment, or is there a problem with that, or is that something that you just haven't encountered?
Well, there is and there isn't. Certainly there is. I think maybe in many creative fields there is, especially the writers. It seems to be tougher on the writers but so many of my films were done with young people or like baby geniuses with babies, and I haven't really had the problem so much. Still quite a few things. A number of years, about 10 years ago, maybe even more, I realized I could go do wonderful cable movies. I did Arthur Miller's American Clock for DreamWorks and TNT. That's Arthur Miller, the
right.
god of American theater as far as I'm concerned. Got to work with Arthur. So I alternated doing movies like that with baby geniuses and super babies and things like that, the bigger Hollywood-type films, and it worked out very well for me. But I haven't had the problem, but it is there. It just depends. But it's interesting because it's an overemphasis. I broke in myself independently in my 20s, so I can't complain. I'm very pleased to. But the issue of a very young writer, then his next movie is a $40 or $50 million movie, is a little strange to me. And there was an article, I forget where, one of the magazines, about the ratio. The success of the 30-year-old director as compared to the 60-year-old director is they're no better. They don't succeed on a proportional basis on any different level than even their 70. Look at Altman; they were 70, many 70-year-old directors. So it depends on the director and the situation, but it is somewhat harder, especially if you've just been a working stiff in the industry. But I've been mercifully doing a movie now with Pamela Anderson, Denise Richards, Manuel Bourget, called Blonde and Blonder. Very funny, outrageous comedy, and I'm going on to. I've got two others in the near future lined up. So, but the answer is yes, of course, there is that problem, especially for the writers.
Well, Bob Clark, thanks so much for joining me on Movie Talk today. I appreciate your time, and again, continued success with not only the DVD release of your original Black Christmas, but the remake of Black Christmas, which you're the executive producer of. And down the road, love to have you back on when you have one of your other pictures out, and it was a delight to talk to you about not only Black Christmas, but A Christmas Story.
Special thanks to William Alexander, who's put out these Black Christmas DVDs. They're wonderful work by his company. So thank you very much, David. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That's director Bob Clark.
Shut up.
You know, for a public servant, I think your attitude really sucks.
Shut up. Now, Mr. Harrison, if you're convinced your daughter is missing, you can fill out one of these forms. I don't know if it's any consolation, but 90% of the time, girls are reported missing from the college. They're at a cabin somewhere with a boyfriend.
Thanks. But that's not much consolation.
Oh, here, Mrs. Mack. Let me help.
Thank you, dear. We gotta get Mr. Reynolds to fix this door. I must have called that son of a bitch 100 times about it.
Oh, Mrs. Mack, there was another one of those calls just now.
Oh, what there, dear?
It was weird. Some woman screaming, then a man wailing.
Claire Harrison's father was here today.
Oh, really? I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to her.
Well, you still might. Claire didn't meet him where she was supposed to. I thought she went over to the fraternity.
Where is it? Those bottles don't drink their salt, for God's sake. Eureka.
Excuse me. Could you give me the number at the sorority house? Please.
Yeah, sure. It's, Fellatio 20880. Fellatio. It's a new exchange, FE.
It's a new one on me. How do you spell it?
Capital F, E, little L, L-A-T-I-O.
Thanks.
Don't mention it.
42, detail number 2 at 408.
Hi, what's up?
Have you seen Claire today?
No, she went home.
No, she didn't. No one knows where she is.
Are you serious?
I thought maybe she was with you, or at least you might have heard from her.
No, not since last night.
Well, her father came to pick her up at 1 o'clock today, and she didn't show. So he went down to the police station with Phil and Bob.
What happened?
They didn't take it seriously.
Why?
I don't know. I think they figured she was shacked up somewhere. Well, she's out for Christmas holidays, but there was a band practice over at the high school this afternoon, and Janice plays the clarinet. And when she didn't come home, I phoned Melody Green, that's her best friend, and they hadn't seen her all day. She's only 13 years old, Lieutenant, and my husband's a trucker. He's out on the road, and so I came over here.
Yeah, well, is it really so unusual for her to be just a few hours late, Mrs. Quinn?
Oh, yes. She should have been home at noon. We were going to buy a present for her father.
Nash, you stupid son of a bitch, you got a big goddamn mouth. What the hell are you talking about?
Hi, Chris. How's your brother?
Ken, I gotta talk to you.
What's up?
I want to know why nothing's being done about Claire Harrison being missing and why this idiot gets away with saying the things he does.
You're a friend of Claire Harrison?
Yeah, I've been taking her out. Oh, this is Jess, Ken. She lives in the same sorority house as Claire.
All right, come on in. Sergeant, bring me the file on the Harrison girl. And take care of this.
We should try to eat something, Mr. Harrison. You know, starving yourself isn't going to help the situation at all.
No, thank you very much, Mrs. McHenry, but I just have no appetite. I feel I should be doing something, but I don't know what.
Well, why don't you just try to stop worrying? The best thing you can do is stay right here. I'm sure she'll call or show up soon.
But you just knew what to do.
Did you know, this is a very little known fact, but did you know that there's a certain species of turtle that... There's a certain species of turtle that can screw for 3 days without stopping. You don't believe me, do you? Well, I mean, how could I make something like that up?
Barb, dear,
No, really, they just 3 days, 24 hours a day. Boom, 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 boom. Can you believe that, 3 days? I'm lucky if I get 3 minutes. Do you know how I know this? Because I went down to the zoo and I watched them. It was very boring. Well, actually, I didn't stay for the whole 3 days. I went over and I watched the zebras because they only take 30 seconds. Premature ejaculation.
You think it's my fault, don't you?
Barb, stop it.
Don't shit me. That's what you're all thinking. Why don't you just come right out and say it? You think that I drove her away. And if she's dead, you're gonna blame me.
Barb, for God's sake.
Well, that's what we're all thinking. Why doesn't someone just come right out and say it?
Barb, dear, you've had too much to drink. Mr. Harrison...
I don't give a shit about Mr. Harrison. I'm sick and tired of everyone in this house insinuating stuff and not coming out with what they mean.
Barb, why don't you go upstairs and lie down for a while?
Shut up. And you leave me alone. God damn you. You think it's my fault, don't you? You've been implying it all afternoon.
Barb, you're drunk. Go to bed.
Yeah, sure. Fine. Yes, where's Mr. Harrison?
He's in the dining room.
We won't be long, Mrs. Mack.
All right, dear.
See you later.
Phil.
Yeah?
Phil, listen, I'm sure Claire will be all right.
I hope so.
And I just want to tell you that I'm going to go to my sister's for the holidays, so I might not be here when you get back.
That's okay. Look, just checking on Barb before you leave. Could you do that?
Of course I will. And you bundle up.
Yeah, we'll be all right, Mrs. Mack.
Mrs. Quaid and Mr. Harrison have asked me to extend their thanks to you for coming out on this cold night to help. Now, Mrs. Quaid has told us that Janice most likely came through this park on her way home from school today. So the first thing we'll do is comb the park. When I tell you, I want you all to assemble on the south edge of the park with your assigned officer. Then we'll just walk through the park. Spread out evenly, don't bunch up. There'll be 2 sets of dogs leading the way. Just spread out and follow them. George and Carly, stay out on the flanks. The fumes will mess up the dogs, and don't go more than 10 miles an hour or you'll be no use to us. Now, if any of you find anything, I want you to send someone out immediately to report it to me. Is that clear? Are there any questions? Okay, let's go.
Alligators come through the gate, but goodbye leg if you get away late. Lollies always love to pop. All right, I hear you. Claude? 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 Where are you? How'd you get up in the attic, Claude? Gee. All right, goddammit, you can wait. Claude, are you up here? Jesus Christ, I don't see how it could be up here. Claude! Jesus, Claude, now look what you made me do. Jesus, I've got to clean this Damn it, Claude, I'm gonna have you fixed.
Hey! Anybody there? Anybody there?
I'm gonna have to split. Peter's coming around and I'm late already.
It's cold.
Yeah, I'll be coming home soon, too. I'm freezing. Oh, God, I can see you.
We'll let you know if anything happens.
Send my baby! Hello? Hello? Who is this? What do you want? Why are you doing this? Who are you? For God's sake, what are you doing?
I know what you did, Billy! Filthy Billy! Billy! Billy!
Stop this! Jesus Christ. Mrs. Mack? Mrs. Mack, are you home? Mrs. Mack, are you up there? Yes, hello?
I've been getting obscene phone calls, and I want to know what can be done about it. Yes, all right, I'll hold, but only for a moment. Peter, Jesus, you scared the hell out of me. Why didn't you say something?
Yeah? Well, you scared the hell out of me, too. What was all that yelling about? I was upstairs having a little sleep. I hope you don't mind, but it got a little cold out there waiting for you.
I'm sorry I was late, Peter.
Yeah.
Claire Harrison is missing. I was out with a search party looking for her. Yes, hello? I want to report something. No, I don't want to hold. How did the recital go?
How do you think it went?
Peter, what kind of a game are you playing? I thought you wanted to talk, so why don't you quit attacking me and we'll try to have a rational, adult conversation? Yes. Now stay on the line.
Okay, now calm down, lady. Let's have the story. Oh, yeah? What's the address? 6 Belmont Street. How many calls? Well, did you call the phone company? Oh, yeah? Well, miss, we're very busy here. There's been a child murdered in the park. I don't know when we can get a man on it. It's probably just one of your boyfriends playing a little joke. Yeah, well, I'll report it and try to get a man on it just as soon as possible. I'm sorry, miss.
567 Queen West, 567 Queen West. They're holding a suspect, 407. 481, 407.
Jess, what's wrong?
Little girl was found murdered in the park.
What?
The search party that was looking for Claire found a little girl murdered. Claire's still missing.
Well, Claire's all right.
Is she?
Now listen, Jess, I know you're upset. But I've got something to tell you. I'm leaving the conservatory.
Peter.
Will you just hear me out? Will you hear me out, please? Now, I've lived in one room for 8 years, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to line up behind 6 people every time I want to take a bath. I've had it. I'm quitting the conservatory, and we're getting married. Well, say something.
Do you remember when we first met? You told me about your wanting to be a concert pianist. How it was your greatest dream. And I told you about some of the things that I wanted to do. I still want to do those things. You can't ask me to drop everything I've been working for and give up all my ambitions because your plans have changed. Be realistic. I can't marry you.
Sure you can. What does it change? We could be married. You could still do anything you wanted to do.
Peter, I don't want to marry you.
All right. What about the baby?
I didn't want to bother you with it, sir.
Oh, you did? 6 Belmont Street. That's where your daughter lives?
Yes, it is.
A high school girl's been murdered. Mr. Harrison's daughter is missing. And now at the house where she lives, the other girls are getting obscene phone calls. Don't you think we ought to look into it, Nash?
Well, Lieutenant, I guess, sure.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Yeah, thanks, Ken.
Sergeant Nash, could I speak to you for a minute?
Yeah, sure, Lieutenant.
What's this?
Well, that's the number at the sorority house.
Felicia?
Yeah, it's a new exchange. FE.
New exchange?
Yeah, Felicia. One of the girls that was in this afternoon gave it to me.
She gave it to you.
Yeah.
Nash, I don't think you could pick your nose without written instructions.
I know. Something dirty, ain't it?
You selfish bitch. You're talking about killing our baby as though you were having a wart removed.
Now can you see why I didn't want to tell you?
What the hell are you trying to do to me?
What are you doing to yourself?
Jess, let's get one thing straight. You are not going to abort that baby.
Peter, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do.
Jess, if you try getting an abortion...
I think you better leave.
If you try getting an
I
abortion...
said get out.
You're going to be very sorry.
Hi, Peter. I'll get Jess. Jess, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Any more news?
No, but there's some people here to see about the phone calls. Jess, this is Lieutenant Fuller, and I'm sorry.
Graham, Bill Graham. Are you the person who called the station today?
Yes.
Well, we'd like to put a tap on your phone, but we'll need your written permission to do that if it's okay with you.
Okay.
Okay, Graham, you can go ahead. And I'd like to see Claire Harrison's room.
Sure.
Where's the telephone?
There's one in the living room and one here in the hall.
Claire's room's up here.
How many girls live in this house?
Usually 10.
Hello, this is lineman Graham. It's 6 Belmont. I'm working line 559-6114. Right.
This afternoon I got a call from a woman that I thought was the wrong number. But then she started screaming at me.
Well, who was the last one here to see Miss Harrison?
I think I was.
When? Approximately.
Last night, about 10:30.
Just the way she left her room, as far as you know?
Yes.
What's this?
We were having a party last night.
She drink a lot?
No, hardly at all.
Did you have any emotional problems, anything like that?
No, not Claire.
Who was she seeing besides Chris Hayden?
No one.
Sure of that? Well, so you were the last one to see her sometime this morning?
Last night.
Right, last night. Well, did anyone see her this morning?
No.
I didn't.
And all the other girls have gone for the holidays.
Can I get a list of their phone numbers where I can reach them?
Sure. There's one in Mrs. Mack's room.
Who's Mrs. Mack?
She's the house mother.
Is there anyone else in the house right now?
Yes, another girl, Barbara Pollard. She's upstairs asleep. She's not feeling too well.
Is she the one that was at the station today?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let her sleep.
Okay.
Were there any deliveries yesterday? Or was anyone working in the house, anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Mrs. Mack would know.
Is her sister's number on this list? Graham, how's it going? You about finished?
Yeah, what I've done is I've tapped this phone so that when it rings, it'll ring at the station house, too. At the same time, I'll be at the phone company checking on the location of the source of the call. Are there any other phones in the house?
Yes, the house mother has a line.
Yeah, but it's another number and there haven't been any calls on it.
You're going to have to keep this guy on the line as long as possible. We got a mechanical system here, and it takes a while. I know it's not very pleasant, but...
Girls, can I show you something? See the car outside?
Yeah.
We've got one of our men in it, so you've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, sure.
I can just feel it. Oh, come on now, Phil. We don't know that. Poor Mr. Harrison. I feel so sorry for him. Hey. How's Chris? Oh, he's okay. You know, Chris. Oh. I'm sorry, Jess. I guess I'm just exhausted. I've been taking these pills for my cold and they knocked me out. Will you be okay if I go up to bed? Yes, of course. Are you sure? Yes. Go up and get some rest. Call me if there's any news. I will. Thanks. Night, Phil. Good night.
Yeah. Everything clear on your end yet? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Now, look, I'm going to need about 10 more minutes. Now, be sure you tell those people again, they got to keep this guy on the line. Right.
Because he hasn't worn his hat for the last 2 days. Yes, we certainly will live into that. Thank you very much.
Graham's nearly ready at the switching station. Now, when the phone rings at the house there, this one will ring too. The transmitters have been removed, so we won't pick anything up at all from this end.
Great, thanks.
Lieutenant, the men are here from Scarborough.
Okay.
Touch your skin.
I guess I had a nightmare. I dreamed a stranger was coming in my room. I guess that's what gave me asthma, huh?
Take it easy. It's all right now. Just relax.
I should be so lucky to have a stranger come in my room.
Jean! What's up? Jean, get the children in the car.
Oh, what's going on?
Please, just get them into the car.
Okay, kids. Let's go.
Come along, children, hurry.
Miss? Miss? Thank you. Merry Christmas.
There was a little girl murdered over in the park tonight.
Yes, I heard.
Your phone's ringing.
44 Cruiser 354.
Oh, yes. Excuse me. Good night.
Certainly. Good night.
Testing.
Bill Graham. Trace call coming in on front 9.
Hello?
Hello? Who's there? What your mother
Hello?
Jess, we didn't get him. But there wasn't enough time. You'll have to keep him on the line longer.
I see.
When you said, oh my God, did you recognize something?
No. I guess it was just kind of getting to me.
When he called before, did he use more than one voice like this?
Yes, he did. He used several different voices.
I meant to ask you tonight, who was the guy that was leaving when I arrived at your house?
My boyfriend, Peter.
Were you having a fight? But Jess, I'll have to call you back in a little while. You all right? I'll call you back in a little while and we'll get him next time.
Bernie. Yeah? Call the doctor.
I'm not letting no son of a bitch trespass on my land in the middle of the night. I don't care what kind of
What the hell is going on here?
He fired on a police officer.
You goddamn right. I do it again, too. The bastard was trespassing.
Hogan got an ass full of bird shot.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make son of a bitch pick every one of them out with his teeth. The next time you're gonna get the gun up your ass. Sideways.
If you laugh, Buchanan, I'll bust you to Boy Scout, I swear.
I'm telling you.
If you think it was Peter, then why didn't you just tell the police?
Well, because I'm not really sure.
Well, he should be stopped. Whoever it is should be stopped. God, Jess, I haven't had a minute's sleep around here. There's been so much noise in the house. What the hell was all that yelling about?
Mom had an asthma attack. She was having a nightmare.
Is she all right?
Yeah, she's fine. She's sick. He repeated almost word for word what Peter said to me tonight.
Couldn't it just be a coincidence?
Oh, God, Phil, I don't know. I'm so confused.
Oh, look, Jess, I really don't think it could be Peter. You know, I don't like Peter much, but I don't think he's that sick.
I can't believe Peter would do this. He's so gentle most of the time. Oh, God, Phil, you know, I'm really getting scared.
Look, are you sure that cop's still out there? Yeah, he's there.
Hello?
Jess?
Yes?
Oh, God, please help me.
Oh, look, Peter, don't cry. We can straighten things out. There's nothing to get so upset about.
Yeah?
It's Bill Graham. You want me to trace that one?
Yeah, try and get it.
Right.
Jess, we can't kill the baby. Please, Jess, we can't kill the baby.
Peter, where are you?
Please, Jess. You know how I feel about the baby.
Don't do this.
Jess, don't hurt the baby.
Stop this, Peter.
You want her baby. I know you do. I don't want to hurt the baby. Jess, please.
Peter, please tell me where you are.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the calls just aren't long enough. Right.
Yes.
Jess, Lieutenant Fuller, you want to tell me what that's all about?
You listened to that?
Yes. What did he mean about killing the baby?
Code 81, did you attend at 892 Dundas?
Jess, it's important that you tell me.
I'm pregnant. I told him I didn't want to have the baby.
Well, when did you tell him this?
Border 121.
Today.
Just today, you sure?
Yes.
We can't kill the baby. That's a strange way of putting it.
Peter's an artist. He's very high-strung.
Neurotic, maybe?
No, no more than a lot of people.
Jess, are you telling me the truth?
I've got a feeling you're holding something back from me. Now, I don't want it to be Peter, but if it is, he needs help. Do you know what I mean? The sooner the better.
Now look, think back. Was Peter with you any of the times that you got one of these calls?
Yes, he was here. He was at the house tonight when the first call came. That's right. It couldn't be Peter. Phil, it couldn't be Peter. He was here.
Well, he's obviously upset about something. I'd like to talk to him. Can you tell me where I might reach him?
Well, he lives at Baker House, but when he gets like this, he usually goes down to the recital hall at the music conservatory and plays.
And look, Jess, if you get any more calls, you're going to have to keep him on the line longer. You're not giving us enough time to get a trace.
I'm trying. You know, it really upsets me.
Right, of course. Look, you're doing fine. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thank God.
I knew it couldn't have been Peter.
Well, what can I tell you? Covered the entire campus area. We're working our way toward the lake now. Where do we go from there?
Start them out on the south end of town and have them work their way through town on a house-to-house.
Jess, do you want one aspirin or two?
Two, please.
Okay. What are you doing?
Some kind of research party.
Yes?
Sorry to scare you, miss, but we're with the search party.
What do you want?
Well, we wondered if you'd seen anything peculiar tonight.
Well, not until you got here. Oh, well, they scared the shit out of me.
Sorry, miss, but you do know there was a girl killed in the park tonight.
Yes, we heard.
Well, we're just helping the police to look for the killer.
Well, we'd ask you in, you know. But our dog died last night.
Oh, well, we don't want to bother you at a time like that. We were just wondering if you'd noticed anything suspicious here tonight.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, well, you just keep your doors and windows locked, and you'll be safe.
Okay.
You understand?
Thankfully,
yeah.
we will.
And remember, there might be others from the search party around, so don't be afraid. We'll be around to see that you're safe.
Good enough. Thank you very
Just remember to lock those doors and windows out, eh?
Okay.
Okay, then.
Bye-bye.
Do that now.
I'd rather face the killer.
No, seriously, do you realize this is the only door and window in this whole house that's locked?
Nash, get the Dean of Admissions on the phone. Tell him I want all records on a Peter Smythe, music student. Then have a car meet me out front.
Barb, are you awake?
Hello?
You fat pig. You pig. You bitch pig. I want a uniform, baby. No, really, no.
Graham, it's group 140, terminal 55.
Lieutenant Fuller.
Yeah, Nash, what is it?
A phone company's on the other line, sir. They say they got a trace on this one.
Yeah, let's have it.
He says the calls are coming from number 6 Belmont Street.
For Christ's sakes, Nash, you got it wrong. That's where the calls are going into.
That's where they're coming from, too, sir.
Shit. Jennings?
Jennings? Jennings? Jennings? Jennings, where the hell are you?
Nash? Nash!
Yes, sir.
Look, I can't get through to Jennings. I want you to call that girl. Nash, be calm. Don't tell her that the guy's in the house. Just tell her to put down the phone and walk straight out the front door. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And Nash, if you blow this, I'll kill you.
Phil? Phil, where are you? Please answer me.
Hello?
Who is this?
It's Jess.
Miss Bradford, this is Sergeant Nash. Are you the only one in the house?
No. Phil and Barbara upstairs asleep. Why?
All right. Now, I want you to do exactly what I tell you without asking any questions, okay? No questions. Now, just put the phone back on the hook, walk to the front door, and leave the house.
What's wrong?
Please, Miss Bradford, please just do as I tell you.
Okay.
I'll get Phil and Barbara.
No, don't do that, Jess. Yes. The caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house. Jess! Jess! Get out! Now don't go up there. Don't go upstairs, Jess. Miss Bradford! Miss Bradford! Miss Bradford? Miss Bradford?
Phil! Bob! Oh,
up? Bill?
It's me, Billy. Agnes, don't you tell what we did, Agnes.
Jess? Jess, are you all right? Jess? Jess, are you in there?
Jess? 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 Jess, is that you? Jess? Are you in there? Jess? Jess. Why didn't you answer me? What was all the yelling about? Jess, you had me worried. What are you doing around here? Jess?
I knew it in my gut it was that kid.
Why would Peter start killing people?
I don't know. He must have made a call after each murder.
It's hard to believe Jess would kill anybody, much less Peter.
Well, she's under.
How long do you think it'll be before I can talk to her? Just a couple questions.
Well, she'll be out for at least 4 hours and pretty groggy after that. What time do her parents get here?
A couple of hours. They're driving down from Unionville.
All right, I'll stay with her till then. But the condition she's in, I wouldn't count on talking to her before tomorrow afternoon if I were you.
Has anybody notified Patrick Cornell?
Who?
Phil's boyfriend.
Hey, Mac, do you want us to check the attic and the basement?
It's okay,
Don't touch anything till the state lab guys get here. I told you.
Lieutenant, I think we're going to have to take these bodies to the morgue in Lincolnville. The hospital doesn't have facilities to handle this many at one time.
All right, tell the coroner there to get started on the autopsies right away. And notify the parents for identification.
Yes, sir. I think that about wraps everything up here, sir. The state lab guys will be here in about an hour, they said. Reporters, sir, and television news guys, they want pictures.
Get them the hell out of here. Tell them I'll meet them down at the station. Could you do
All right, mechanic, come on. Move back down, sir. Come on.
The Bradford girl being charged with... I'm gonna pick you.
All right, you guys. Come on. Back home. Back. Yes, the girl's father's upstairs, but he can't tell you.
Would you keep it down, please? We've got a sick girl in here.
Look, low level. I don't know the whole story, but it's not here. Let's put it on the station. Come on, get out. Out.
Come on.
Come on, move.
She's a shark.
Any hope of finding her alive?
Nobody get him downstairs. He's got to go to a hospital.
She'll be all right, Mr. Harrison. She's gonna be back, I know it.
Nobody give us a hand here.
Hey, you. Dash, will you see that everything's wrapped up?
All right, Lieutenant, will do. Hey, Lieutenant.
Hey, you. Come on, out. You want to spend the night in the can? Move. Jesus, what's the matter with this guy?
He's suffering from shock. We have to get him to the hospital. Can you get us a car, Nash?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, McCloskey. You heard what the lieutenant said. Right.
Agnes, it's me, Bill.